Hello, my name is Julian Zamora, Adult Literacy Coordinator with LA County Library. Before we begin tonight's program and introduce our speakers, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our services and programs for adults here at the library. In addition to our Heart and Hand virtual talk series, we offer a variety of virtual programs for adult customers, from virtual author talks and digital literacy workshops to our Work Ready Professional Development series. We offer a variety of virtual programs that support your personal and professional growth. We also offer a variety of resources that support lifelong learning and skill development, including our tool lending library and digital training tools such as LinkedIn Learning, BrainFuse, and Coursera, among others. You can learn more about these resources by visiting our website, lacountylibrary.org. Now I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to tonight's speakers. Leading tonight's conversation is our very own Library Director, Skye Patrick. Skye Patrick was appointed LA County Libraries Director in 2016. In a role, she is responsible for the library's 85 libraries, 18-vehicle mobile fleet, and resources that are used by more than 3.4 million customers across LA County. Skye is committed to breaking down barriers and increasing access for all. In addition to helping LA County Library go find free and initiating several other services to help provide more access and opportunity for customers, Skye launched the library's iCount Equity Initiative. The library's iCount Equity Initiative ensures that library services and programs address the needs of the diverse communities across LA County. Skye continues to reinforce the library's role in the community as a civic and cultural center, a hub for public information, services, and discourse, and an institution of literacy, innovation, and lifelong learning. Tonight, Skye will be interviewing literacy advocate and TikTok influencer, Oliver James. James is a rising star on TikTok's Book Talk platform, who is gaining national attention for using the popular social media platform to teach himself how to read. Setting a modest goal of wanting to read 100 books this year, James regularly chronicles his journey with literacy on TikTok under the handle Oliver Speaks One. James was recently featured in the Los Angeles Times, Inside Edition, NPR, The Rachel Ray Show, and Good Morning America. And he's using social media and his newfound fame to help spread awareness on the importance of reading. Thank you, Skye and Oliver, for being with us tonight. Skye, we will hand the program over to you.
Thank you so much, Julian. And I would like to say welcome to all of our listeners, our program attendees, and of course, welcome to Mr. Oliver James. Before I get started, I'd like to take an opportunity to administer a land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited by cared for by the Tongva, Tactaviam, Serrano, Keys, and Chumash people. We honor and pay respects to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging. And as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters, we acknowledge that settler colonialization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live, work on these ancestral lands, and we are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, the Fernandino Tactavian Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, the Gabrielino Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Quiche Nation, the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, and of course, the San Fernando Band of Mission Indians. Welcome to LA County Library. So, Oliver, hi, how are you?
Hello, am I unmuted?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Oliver, I have to tell you, I was so excited to discover you. Our team discovered you on TikTok Book Talk. And I don't know that you know this, but you are a huge celebrity in libraries. You are flying around all of like social media, library social media, Facebook. Everybody in libraries know who you are, and they're super excited. So I have no doubt that after this presentation and interview, you're going to be hearing from a lot more library people.
Oh, well, bring them my way. I enjoy library people.
Fantastic. So let's get started. I have several questions for you. You've had such a journey. I have so many different questions. I'm just going to try and make sure I ask the most important ones. Can you, what were you thinking when you decided to create a TikTok channel and share this very intimate detail about yourself? Like, what was your thinking behind that?
Honestly, it was a decision made after I was already thinking of a totally different topic. So that might be help a lot of people out there who are trying to make decisions. I was on fitness more than I was on focusing on my mental. I was more physical. I wasn't going more mental at all. It was more of work really hard for my physical part, but the mental part seemed to have been cut off from my life from childhood. So I was thinking more of how I can build myself up as a fitness trainer online. But as I get more, popular or make more money or do more in my life, I will eventually maybe, pick up a book or hire somebody to help me with my educational part. But I was operating backwards. So when I came in one day from a long day of doing a bunch of fitness videos, I always would do. I told my lady, and my lady was like, I think it's best that you give people what you give me. You give me the truth. You show me all these things about you that I think is pretty amazing. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell anybody that. That's all the things that I don't want people to know about me, And she was like, well, I think that's the thing that you need to tell in order for you to finally like get the audience and the recognition that you want. And I literally right after that, probably 2-3 minutes later, I went out into the van and I was just said 5 words. What's up? I can't read. And it changed everything.
What's up? I can't read. And you just came out to the world.
Yep.
Did you feel, was there a sense of relief? Was there a sense of fear? Well, like, what was your feeling at that time?
I can be honest with you. All of those feelings. And I don't know if anybody's ever experienced something like this, but it was all of them. It was every feeling you've ever wanted crashing on you at once. Happiness, sadness, fear, anger. There's adrenaline, there's anxiety, there's those mind tricks, there's everything going on. Even thinking of when I'm posting it, hand shaking, ready to delete after I post it. And I've done that actually about 5 to 10 times on TikTok. I've posted that kind of video and deleted it. And I'm telling you, that wasn't the first. That first one everybody's seen wasn't the first one. That was probably about the 10th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you posted it, you just kind of took a breath, took a step back and just let it happen. Did people start pinging in right away, or like, were they saying anything?
Well, at first it was my first video, which I only had about 200 followers at the time. And I put up one video and I was just that was the nervous one. That was the one like, you know what, this is it. If whatever happens, happens. I'm not taking this one down. I don't even care. I'm just going to say it. No one's going to see it, whatever. No one sees anything else. That's what you think, And out of nowhere, that video hit like 9,000 views. So that was my first one. Every other one was like 60 views or something, or, it's not about the views, but I could tell it was never that high. That was more views than I had followers. I only had like 200 at the time. So, or not even maybe 200, probably lower than that. And that kind of really like gave me the energy. I came kind of running in the house. I'm like, hey, I just put up that video. And, the best part, I didn't care how many views. It was the fact that people acknowledged it and made me feel good. It was like 9,000 views. It was like, 50 comments. I'm like, these are all really good, nice comments about something I don't like about myself. That's exactly what I felt. And I expressed that to my lady. And she was just like, I guess she could see it. Like, this is it. Like, why don't you go tell them more? And I was just like, you got it. And I jumped back in the car, started driving around the city, and I would stop, put up another video immediately. And this one was the video where I told everybody I was writing my own book. You know, I was really anxious. Like, that was me, because I was just like kind of shocked. Like, people want to hear me. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm going to write a book. Before you go, you know, wait for me. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you more. And that video, literally, that's the video that has almost 1 million views. So
wow,
that changed everything. That went from 9,000 to like 200 followers to almost 1 million views to 100,000 followers. That second video, the second video.
I just want, most people who are listening to you, they understand like the power of social media, but just the idea that you had less than 200 followers, you shared this incredibly deep and intimate part of yourself based on your partner saying it's time for you to, someone saying, way to go, it's time for you to come clean about yourself. And then how much love and support you received right away, like 1 million views.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this story. Let me ask you a couple of questions. So, I use the TikTok and the social media, but I don't know anything about Book Talk. You are the first person. My team brought it to me. What is Book Talk? Book Talk. Talk about that. What is that?
Well, you know what? There might be a bunch of people from Book Talk here, so I want to make sure I represent. Say the truth. The best way I could put it is in a way that I was welcomed and how honest I can be. I looked at this as, I was the kid in school who used to walk by like those classes that had kids who were very intelligent, and they would be in school after school, doing a little bit extra school. And you're like, man, you do school so good. Or the person reading under a tree, That was my brain when I was leaving football practice, basketball practice. I would see those kids playing hacky sack, reading books at the back, And I'm like, man, if I could do that, I would be doing that. But I can only run a football. I can only play basketball. That's my outlet. And what Book Talk gave me, and this is how I look at it. This is how I put it in that category. It gave me an opportunity to relive that again. But now all of those people who would maybe play hacky sack in the back, read under trees, they stood after school, they wanted to be a teacher, all those people who just wanted to love things about learning. Those people have a community within TikTok, and it's called Book Talk. Now, what I did was I did the opposite of what that little kid did. The little kid walked by and then just dismissed it and went home. But the adult version, when I finally kicked in that, when I creeped up at the door and I said, what's this class? You were always, any kid can walk up to any class in school and say, what's this class? And 9 times out of 10, that teacher should let that kid in there and learn, Don't know if it happens, but it should. So what happened today in this time is I stumbled across it. I came through the back door and I'm like, hey, what's this place? And they were like, it's a place where people can come and read, learn, everything about education. And I'm like, well, why don't nobody know about it? It's like, oh, they know about it. They just maybe need someone like you or someone else to put it more out there, but they know about it. They're just scared to come into it. You're scared to be honest with yourself and tell yourself, yeah, I need to build up myself with a community of people who have a couple struggles in that learning, place, but most of us adults, we're not going to want to do that. We're not going to put ourselves in that predicament. But here I come stumbling through the back. Like, I don't know nothing about reading. I know nothing about education. I don't even know anything about this country. I don't know. I didn't learn anything in school. And for me to get this type of embracing from a community of people who, when I thought it wouldn't accept me because I didn't think I was smart enough. They made me like, the face of much things. They're like, hey, we want you to be the forefront. Like, you're up front. You go up front and you tell your story. You do what you got to do. You're smart. You're educated. They made me feel like that little boy should feel. It feels like that today. We should have felt like that back then because I was still hurt in that way. Absolutely. But now I sit around and I talk to people. I mean, I'm reading right now a 4th grade book and I'm happy about it. I'm happy to tell people about me learning about finances and credit, from a children's book. That's what I'm reading right now. And I'm like, man, I would have never stumbled across that if I didn't open myself up to the world. And Book Talk gave me that opportunity. They allowed someone that is from the outside come in, and then they didn't judge at all. They just embraced. I judged.
I love it.
Judge. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't judge you. And so,
No.
it sounds like Book Talk is a lot like libraries, and that
Yeah.
we welcome anybody in, anybody who wants to be a part of this glorious like ideology of like free thinking and just self-led and lifelong learning. That's what libraries are. You remind me, I would be remiss to not share this, and I know all the library folks on the call know this, but a lot of libraries at this point in time, Oliver, have integrated children's books with adult books, like the nonfiction. And it's exactly what you said. So if you want to learn finance, as an example, we have in that section of finance, you'll have like, fourth grade, sixth grade, 10th grade, all the way up to like, professional level academic writing.
That's amazing.
Because of exactly what you said. We don't want anyone to come in and feel like they can't, well, one, be embarrassed that they don't read at a certain level, but two, that they have the freedom to pick the book that more resonates with their skill sets without judgment. I love that about libraries. And I love that you just gave that really awesome example. You said something else that really resonated with me. You're like, when I was in school, I didn't learn anything. So many people have that experience for a number of reasons: underfunded schools, overworked teachers. Like, I mean, there are compounding and structural reasons why a lot of people leave primary school feeling like they didn't learn anything or nothing, or wasn't applicable. And so you're just like taking this opportunity to just call it out and say what it was for you. You've been really open and transparent about your special education experience and the way that it impacts your views on learning and reading. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, and did they make you feel special? And I mean, not special as in, but special like you matter. And I want to spend time with you to help you get to where you want to go. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah. I'm going to try to give it in the most honest way, because I always want to resonate with the people who probably went through this, or if not, they know someone who went through it. I grew up in a system that allowed us to be restrained. And in that time, I'm going to tell you something, from now being an adult, I can't even believe that they allowed someone to even touch me. That's the most wild, but I can't say anything as a child. But as an adult, I'm like, how did they let someone touch me? Like, just randomly, some random man just be able to just touch me whenever he wants to. Today, we would look at that as rape or abuse. But back then it was like he was allowed to sit on me and put his neck on me and choke me, slam me, pick me up and carry me around the room, hold me upside down. He was allowed to do whatever he wanted to do. We were just abused in those classes. I can have the same feelings I have today as I had as a child. And the feelings are behavioral. What they were working on was behavioral, because I have the problems now trying to behave now, because of the defiance I have within myself, because of what happened to me. It's how I ended up in so many issues in my life, because I was fighting myself, because I was angry I couldn't fight back at the young age. And what's happened in that time is the abuse that they caused me and the behavioral patterns that they had set up. It was like, basically, sit down or get restrained. Don't talk or get restrained. Do your work or get restrained. So everything was like, oh, you're trying to dodge abuse. So I associated everything in my life as that's how I learned how to read. So people didn't realize that was my learning. That was my reading. And that class, from about second grade to fourth, fifth grade, all they did was give us coloring books, pamphlets that would be inside of our little flip up desk. And truth, that we would have to sit in that class through all the day. We didn't go to lunch with the normal kids. So they brought lunch to us, and we didn't do recess with the normal kids either. We had our own class go on recess after every single other kid went on recess. That's how we kind of did our thing. And we sat in that class the day with about 7 to 8 kids who got beat up all day. And no one said nothing about us because they thought we were just the bad kids. But looking at it now as an adult, I'm like, what's the bad kids? You labeled them the bad kids. They were kids. You told them they were bad kids. So you made yourself feel better by beating us, by telling yourself and us we were the bad kids. But technically, they were just kids. We were just children. That's all we were. We weren't bad. We were whatever you told us we were.
That's right. Wow. There you are. That's the power. We are what you tell us we are, especially at that age.
Yep.
I just want to sit with that one for a second, and hopefully our audience will resonate with what you just said. Words matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actions matter too, but words really matter. And I don't think people really understand how we impact these young people like yourself that we come into contact with, particularly in a professional light. These are your teachers, these are your instructors, and I can completely see how you may, of course, you didn't want to or couldn't learn to read or be a great student. You were too busy battling for your life, and it sounds like. And so, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You talk also in addition to, your time in special education, you also talk about, and you're very open about your time in being incarcerated. And so you kind of talked about this a little bit, or you alluded to it, that you were just angry and you reacted, and it was, these are my words, this is what I gleaned from what you said, you became like really protective of yourself, and that, then became other things. Can you talk a little bit about that time of incarceration as it pertains to your interest in learning? Is that where you had a chance to kind of sit back, and I hope you're going to tell me there was a library wherever you were, because we have libraries in incarcerated spaces.
Mm-hmm. I didn't find like more of the reading part in prison. I was very young. So I went away when the crime was around 19. Then they arrested me a year later from the crime, and then they allowed me to turn myself in after a year out to finish off school, because I decided to go to college, community college. And they had a program that was helping, kids like me in college. And so they were like, hey, you're doing good with that. We'll let you finish that off and then turn yourself in. And I turned myself in around 21, almost turned 21 or something around there. And so I was really young. I was still trying to battle with life itself. I was really growing up fast. I can see that, but I still wanted to be young. You don't want to grow up too fast. So I focused on my strengths, and my strengths were always observing. I was very good observer. So I knew I was like, I need to be able to get through this by observing, watching what people do, and decide what I want to do from that, decision. That's kind of how I lived my life. That's how I ended up in prison. From not knowing how to read, you'll read people's behaviors, follow them, and then end up in their same shoes. And then you don't do what they do because you learned it. But that was my way of reading. So unfortunately, I knew I wasn't ever going back to a prison because I read it. I ended up there. I got around people who did more things who would keep themselves in prison. And I decided, okay, this is how you get out of prison. And I was like, now, how do you stay out of prison? You find out people who went back to prison, and that's what I kind of would do. I would see people who were in a halfway house still doing prisoner stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need to do the opposite of that. Like, because if not, I'll be back in here again. So I learned from going to prison. The only problem with that is that I didn't need to learn that way. I could have learned a much better way. That the way that was set up for my life, it's kind of like my life was set up to go that route. Once you ruin a child at a certain age, they don't have much for them. You're the grown up. You can see that. What would they be able to do if they can't read? You're going to follow to people who may have the things you want, so you can get those same things without having to do the things that people know how to do, like read. So stealing, selling, anything that has to do with what can get me a car, what can get me a house, what can get me an apartment. You're just trying to only survive. That's all it really is. Especially at 20, you think it's all like, this is it. I got to make money. I got to do whatever I have to do. And then you end up in places that the same people who did what you did. And then you realize, you're like, hold on, so if I learned how to read, which really let me know most of the people who were incarcerated with me probably can't read that good. And I was like, so if most of us knew how to read, a lot of us wouldn't be in here, would we? I'm like, but we won't tell us that, we're not going to say that. It's too much pride, too much going on. You built a life on the decisions you made. So you're like, this is who I am now. I'm like, but go back to that little boy you used to be on the playground, But that little boy want to do the things that you did to end up in here. I bet you that little boy probably wanted to be a cop, fireman or something. Right. You're like, yeah, he did. I'm like, until that changed the whole perspective of you when you realized how, things really work when you get older. And that's why they don't want to give up on the decisions that they're making. Like, I'm gonna still commit crimes. Why? Because I'm a good crime committer, Oliver. Like, that's one thing I'm good at. So they might still keep doing it because they actually feel like they're good at something. If they could
and
read,
not having an opportunity to become good at something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you can read, you can do all these other things. You don't have to worry about that.
You know, there's a conversation out there that street skills are transferable skills, right? There are things that you learn that can be transferable, right? So like that tenacity you speak of, that's something that you can use to better yourself. You're doing it already.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of transferable skills. And I think that young people just don't hear people saying that, right? They just think that, oh, I have all these deficits, that I can't do this, I can't do that. But the things that you can do could be used in other ways if someone were to just show you the pathway and support you on that pathway. You know, there's a new county department here called JCA, Justice Care Opportunities Department. And it's exactly what you're talking about. Their mission is exactly what you're talking about, to find these young people who have had a really hard way to go and who are, in a lot of cases, justice involved. And then, I always say white glove or hold with care. That's how I say it, but that's the care, hold someone through the transition from being just as involved to guide them to the opportunity. So the county is really working to cultivate young men and women, or young people like you used to be. So I'm gonna put you in touch with them, but I digress. Let me get back to my questions. So was the conversation you had with your partner, was that your turning point, or was there, what happened? What happened to you where enough is enough? I want something different.
You know, COVID happened like everyone else. So everybody, I think, can relate to that. When COVID happened to me, it scared me like it scared everyone else. But what it really did for me is it allowed me to even the playing field. So what COVID did to me is it showed me people's weaknesses, which I was an observer. I was never exposed to people's weaknesses. I was only exposed to people's strengths when I watched them on TV, celebrities, whatever is going on in the world. So I'm like, man, I'm so weak. How am I ever going to feel strong amongst so many people who are so much stronger than me, until COVID happened. And then COVID came and it showed me that I'm like, no, the people who are even strong still have weaknesses. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I thought I was the only one with a weakness. I thought maybe me not knowing how to read makes me opted out. That's how your brain is just functioning, because you don't know.
Right.
And I realized, I'm like, no, even people who have strengths of reading and strengths of money and strengths of, they can still be knocked down. And you're like, oh, I'm like, well, I know what it feels like to be down. I've already been down. I'm always down. I was born down in many ways. I'm like, so I guess only way I can go now is up. So when COVID happened, I started to think, I'm like, well, everybody's on the same playing field. I'm like, I've been on this playing field for 30 something years. I'm like, why don't I go up? Why? I can. I'm like, nothing's changed in my life. I'm still the same finances. I still didn't have no money. I still couldn't read. I was still, trying to deal with personal and mental issues I had going on. I was like, ain't nothing changed. But now we got COVID going on. I'm like, my life has always been COVID. I'm like, most people where I come from. I'm like, so hold on now. I'm like, I'm going to change things now. I'm like, when things are getting bad, maybe I should amp it up. Maybe I should start doing a little more now amongst people who might need to see that. I was like, because right now, people who used to be up, they don't remember who they are. You started seeing it, they didn't understand how it felt to be back up. They didn't know it. And I'm like, I could even influence those people. Even the people who are already up, I can influence them too. They're like, yeah, because it's an equal playing field now. Right now, people have a reason to, this is how I thought about it, give up. It's like, okay, I could give up. I could stop. I'm like, but you never give up. You can't give up. It's not in you. You always get through. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even care. Like, COVID is a thing, but I ain't got no choice. This is my life. My life has always been struggle. It means get through. And I can see people who weren't getting through. And I was like, now's my time. Now's my time to show people the true me, so they can understand, like, hey, listen, what you dealing with COVID, that's how I looked at it. I was like, I've been dealing with COVID situations for the past 30 some years since I was a kid. I've been battling mental problems and mental demons for 30 some years. I'm going to show you how to do it. This is how you do it. How you do it? You expose yourself to a world who thinks it's perfect, because you can see, we all see now it's not. So expose yourself. Make yourself be known. Now, how scared do you feel walking around? You scared that someone thinks you like, the opposite type of person of you, and you're like, well, I never want my parents to know. You don't want these things that come out. You're like, no. Let it out now. The world's all messed up. Let it out. And then when you let it out, live your life. And that was how I kind of approached myself. And then I started to see that I was like, the world wants this. The world wants to feel free from their own prison that they put themselves into.
Nina Simone, you may be a little too young for her, but she's one of my favorites. She has been known to say, she said, you know what freedom is? Freedom is no fear. So when you get to that place where you're no longer afraid, based on her thoughts, that's when you're really free. So, sit with that one for a second. And you also bring up something that I think is really critical, particularly in this day and age and time for young people, but not just young people who just feel like, they want to make some changes and they have something to express. Social media has provided an opportunity or an avenue to sort of democratize who becomes famous, right? So long as your story is something that your narrative is something that someone cares about, a young man from the OC, I believe is where you are, and can like catapult to, his own level of stardom and influence. So that brings me to another question. I meant to ask you this one earlier, but I think I kind of got a little bit lost because you're so compelling. So you did mention a little bit that you've had your own battles, I think is how you said it, with mental health issues and, in your own sort of journey around mental health. The county here, libraries were all deeply connected to mental health and, opportunities for diversion and things like that. Do you think learning to read has helped your mental health, or do you? Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, yeah, I like this one. By the way, this is a really good question. Thank you. I hope people really get this one. 100%. 100%. Like I'm telling you right now, I didn't know what I didn't know. Let's just say that. I did not know what I did not know. I know it now because of reading, but I did not know. It would be hard for me to tell you, sorry for everything I've ever done. I didn't know, but I'm telling you now that I can say, I just didn't know what I didn't know. I'm trying to explain to y'all, even as an adult. And what hurt me even more is once I realized that, I realized how many people I grew up around, I see in this world who don't know. They do not know that the secret to all of their problems, the answers, everything is in a book. It is not in your friend who you need to go to for relationship problems. It is not in your person you need to go talk to for about finance. It's not. No, it is in a book. Start with a book first, and it will give you it'll give you the seed that's planted in the right soil. And then everything else can come and tell you how to make it grow. Put water, put it in sun, but plant it in the most perfect soil so it can grow to be the biggest it can possibly be. And that's how books work for me. I missed that. I didn't get that seed planted. I was planted in bad soil. Now, the good thing is about this, as a human, you can take yourself out. Other things, a tree can't take itself out. An apple tree, an animal, it's got to be what it's got to be. But as a human, I was planted in bad soil up to about 30. And I decided to take myself out of bad soil and plant it in some good soil. And now I'm getting watered. I'm growing like Jack and a beanstalk. I keep trying to tell everybody that. I'm growing. And it's not even me making it happen. It's reading. It's because the fact of the matter is every book I read is going to only make me stronger. I don't know. I don't know it. I'm trying to explain to y'all, I do not know who I'm going to be. I just know I'm going to be somebody by the book I read in the future. That's it. Like I'm telling you straight up, I'm going to be someone amazing because the book I'm going to read is going to be by somebody amazing. I don't know it yet. When I learn it, I'm going to be like, wow, I'm amazing now because I read a book about an amazing situation. I didn't read it yet, though. I'm still clueless to it. But every book I read, I go up. That's why I try to tell people, start reading books so you can grow. You got
Well, listen, Oliver, I'm going to speak for everybody who's ever heard you. You're already amazing. You've already arrived. Maybe you can read more books and become more amazing, but I'm going to draw a line in the sand right now and tell you you're already there. You know, you remind me of the line from Tupac, "The rose that grew from concrete." So I got you. You transfer the dirt, you transfer the soil, and put yourself in enriched soil so that you can grow. I just love the way that you think, and we just need to put you on constant rotation. You know, reading is wonderful. I love to read. I think most people on this call, if not everybody on this call, loves to read. However, reading can be really challenging.
Oh, yeah.
What has been the most challenging for you learning how to read? I mean, you say you're now at around a fourth grade level. You feel confident around fourth grade, and so you'll continue to go. Like, what was difficult for you?
You know, this was a good one I want to answer for all aspects of life. Not giving up was difficult. I know a lot of people hear these things, but maybe you didn't hear it from the reading aspect of a person who's learning how to read, and not maybe, you know, trying something completely extravagant, you know, and say, don't give up on it. I'm telling you something that all of you know how to do, most of these. Me growing was not giving up. That's all it was. I did not know what I was doing. I was out there just stuttering through words, YouTubing the word, you know, sometimes doing all types of stuff. And then what had happened was, from me just being amongst it, you know, being amongst that, putting myself in it, just staring at it, just asking things, just doing. There were so many different things. I could read, but I was at first, second grade level, so I couldn't understand it. That was the thing about that. Didn't understand it. Read my quote book one time, didn't understand 99% of the quotes. Read it the second time and I understood 35% of the quotes. I'm like, how did that happen? How did I just understand that? Nothing changed. I didn't magically. I'm like, why do I know this when I'm reading? So not giving up is what allowed me to be able to become a reader. That's what gave me the information to know, like, oh, you are an amazing reader. You're the best reader that you'll probably possibly ever know, because of how obsessed you are. You're probably going to be one of the most amazing readers in the world. It's just not today. That's all it is. It's just not today. He already exists. Because look at the man now. When you can go back to the person who couldn't read at all, and now the fourth grade reader, you're like, you just fourth grade. Which soon you're going to be eighth grade at 30-something years old, 40-something years old. Hit 50 years old, you be 12th grade. Hit 60, you might be a doctor's level. You like, but eventually that person exists. But I realized something. That person will never become and will never exist if I don't do what I have to do every single day to get there. So don't give up. That's all it was. That was the hardest thing, just not giving up. And now I can sit here and say, hey, I made it to fourth grade. I'm good. I got it from here. Take the training wheels off. I'm going to take off now. I got it. Like, why? Because I know the concept. I just need to keep doing this same thing I don't know how to do every single day. And eventually I'll be exactly where I want to be. When fourth grade year old Oliver meets 34-year-old Oliver, which I'm trying to get him up there as fast as I can, I don't even understand who that person will be in this world. That person that I don't know. Because I'm fourth grade.
To see who you're becoming.
I'm fourth grade right now. You're talking to a fourth grade year old.
Yeah. Well, they say that when you've experienced a life of trauma, wherever that trauma meets you, maybe it's fourth grade for you, that's where you stop emotionally growing. And so the fact that you're saying that you're meeting that fourth grader, that just speaks volumes to your emotional intelligence, and just you're just almost too much. You're going to make me cry. I'm already a mess just listening to you. I understand you have set yourself a goal of 100 books in a year. I want you to know I'm an avid reader, but there is no way on this earth I can get through 100 books.
You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Well,
it.
You know why I say you can do it? Because, like I said, now, the problem is that, you might have a standard that is beyond your standard. It's because you're looking at it from what other people may think that you should read. So you can't reach it because you're like, man, people are going to expect me to read what, and what. Or I'm telling myself that. But why can't you read 100 children's books? Like, in your mind, like, you'd be like, people don't realize. I'm like, the brain doesn't understand. I had to understand this too. It doesn't understand the accomplishment of a big novel. What it's looking for is, he's looking for these little minuscule happy doses that it can give itself.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I finish a book that's just of my liking, it might just be a book that might be, you know, The Giving Tree. You know, that was a small, that was a small
That
book. But guess what? My brain got the release. It got that feeling of success because I finished The Giving Tree.
Mm-hmm. It's
Now,
like serotonin released in you,
now,
like happiness.
Yep. Now, if I do a book that other people are like, you're going to finish 100 books. I'm like, because you're thinking about me finishing the 100 books that you're thinking about.
That's right.
The ones you're thinking about, I ain't going to finish those. You don't even want to finish those. I'm going to finish the ones that I want to finish. The ones that I want to finish are like The Giving Tree. And guess what? I feel real good finishing that Giving Tree book. Wouldn't you? But your mind is thinking about, no, I wouldn't. I'm like, because you set your tone on someone else's belief. Set it on your belief. Because if you finish The Giving Tree, that's a book. A book is a book. And I learned that from Book Talk. A book is a book. Sorry to tell you. And a book is a book. So, when I finish The Giving Tree, I love it.
When I was on the floor, meaning that I was out front as a librarian before I became a director, I was really adamant about kids choosing the book they wanted to choose. So parents are like, oh, they got to read this, they got to have the chapter book, all that stuff. All that stuff is important. But if they wanted to read a comic book, I was here for it. Because it was what they learned, was what they loved. And you really want to attach the love of learning and reading to the process of learning and reading, or you start losing people. So, you know, I would not be a librarian worth my weight in gold if I didn't ask you this question. What are two of your favorite books you've read recently?
Okay, so one of my favorite books is the quote book. I have it here. I tell everybody that one. So that's the normal one that everybody knows that I've read. I would say, you know, it's hard because I haven't read so many, but the ones that I have read, I would say The Outsiders was a good one because I watched the movie.
That one.
That was a good one. That was a good movie. I mean, a good book. That was one of my favorites, I would say, so far in like my reading. My other one is E.T.'s book, UOU. So it's hard. Like I said, I could break them down because those are easy categories, but UOU is a big one for me. And I Am Every Good Thing. There's a book called I Am Every Good Thing. Okay. And it's a young children's book, that kind of like thing. And it's just like a real powerful book about like, you're just all these amazing things. It's just like amazing quotes about how great you are. And I think that's a really good thing to put out. Yeah. Like you should exaggerate on how amazing you are because the world's going to spend its time trying to put themselves on you and make you feel less than you are when you should not feel any less than you believe you are. Like if you think you are the most beautiful person in the world, then you are. No matter what the world views of it. That's it. You to think the most smartest person like myself. I'm the smartest person in the world because I believe I am. And that feels good. Right. Why wouldn't you want that? And we need kids to feel that. They need to feel good. They should feel exaggerated about it. Why not? Because the world's going to tell them how ungreat they are. And they need to have a defense mechanism and be like, no, that's all you's putting your energy on me. I'm amazing. And then nobody going to tell me nothing different. I'm not leaving this earth other than amazing because I am amazing. And that's how you should feel at every moment in your life. And it's a children's book. So I think that's great.
You know, that brings me to another question here. And I think this is important because you've said it, you know, for kids, but let's talk about the grownups. Like, what advice do you have for, I know you said don't give up. That is great advice, but any other advice that you would have for people, grownups specifically, teenagers who are struggling to read? Like, what do you want to say to them?
I will say for younger people, use me for an example. I have fun with this because I understand that I'm young. You know, the world's gonna make you feel like you're older than you are, and you feel like you are. But even the oldest person in the world is the baby to this world. So understand, you can learn at every part of your life. So don't be so hard on yourself. You see a lot of these kids and a lot of younger people who are so hard on themselves. So I mean, listen. You ain't got to be the most amazing, student and everything you got going on, but you can just work at it every single day, one little bit. Just work at it. That's all. Learn from me. I'm 34 years old and I read as a 4th grade level, and I'm so happy to be reading at that level. And I'm 34. So understand, if you read anything higher or lower than me, be happy about it. Because by the time you're 34, you're going to be way higher than me. So just understand that, because you got the information now at 15, 14. Take your time. Don't even rush. I don't care who's telling you and try to rush you to do something. You read 1 page a day for the next 15 years, you will be an amazing reader. I'm telling you something right now, because I didn't read no pages for 15 years. And I'm a great reader today. So I'm telling you, don't rush it. Enjoy the process. Read the things you want to read. I don't care if it's a text message that's 5 pages. If you want to read that, then please read it. Read it all day. Read your messages all day, because you're going to get better. I learned much reading from texts too. You know, so I'm just saying, like, you read, the more you do, just do it. Don't let people put their ways on you. Just because they did it at their route and their way, and don't care about that. But I want kids to understand that you need to have this. It doesn't matter if it's on anything in your life, but especially if you can't read and you're trying to learn, you need to have this because you deserve it. You're owed this. This is like you not being able to walk and you have all the abilities to walk. I would look at you and be like, hey, why don't we start learning how to walk? And someone says you can't walk. If someone told you that as a child, you might be in a wheelchair for no reason because someone told you that as a kid. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you, that you have all the capabilities of learning how to read. If you know you could, and you just got a little bit behind, don't rob yourself from that. You deserve that. That's like the air you breathe. It's like someone giving you an inhaler for 24 hours a day, and you could breathe perfectly good air. You breathing with an oxygen mask, and there's good air. That don't make no sense. But someone took it from you. They took that ability away from you. That's why I'm trying to tell you, don't let them do that. At any time in your life, 18, 20, it don't matter. You can jump up and say, all right, I'm going to read 1 page for the next 5 years. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm capable of doing. And you know what? In 5 years, reevaluate your 1 page to 2 years if you need to. But I promise you what's going to happen is your 1 page will turn into a book because you'll get better at reading. You won't even know you're reading more than 1 page because you just gotten better. Just like you won't know if you start walking, you're going to start running because you've gotten better. Like, you know, that's just how it goes.
Yes. So the consistency, do it every day. Every day, even a little bit, just do it every day. There was someone, I can't remember where I read this, but it was some kind of quote saying, never make fun of someone who mispronounces a word because they learned that word from reading it. Right? You know, I think there's a lot of value in just like allowing yourself allowing yourself the space to make mistakes and just like, you know, mistakes is a part of life. And it sounds like you've really centered yourself on this idea that you made some mistakes, but you quantum leaped past those mistakes, and you've turned those mistakes into this incredible journey that you've shared with us here at the library, with your 200,000 followers and your 1 million viewers. I mean, you're just incredible. I have so many more questions for you, Oliver, but I have got to stop so that I can ask some of these questions from our audience, just to make sure we utilize our time well. So here's a question we have. In addition to reading, are you finding joy in writing? And would you ever consider writing a book? You should have known that was coming.
Oh, well, you know what? I don't know how to write that well, but I do know how. Excuse me, because when I write now, because I don't do a lot of writing, when I do write and spell, I'm so much better. It has opened my mind up to think about writing a book, but I'll just be honest with you. I'm going to do it. It's just that I'm in that space, the same space I was when I didn't know how to read. I'm like, how do I start something like that? So it's an exciting thought process because I know that's something that's in my head. I get anxious because I'm like, I'm going to write a book, but I don't know how it's going to happen. And I can't wait till I do it, but I just got to figure out where I start. I don't know how to start it. I don't know what to do. I just know that I write things down, or I'll say things on my phone. I'll keep messages or quotes I try to save a lot of things that when I eventually want to write maybe a kid's book or a memoir my lady said I could do or something, like I want to do it. I just don't know how. So that's the answer to it. It's like, I don't know where to begin. I Googled it all the time. I do all types of stuff. I just don't know where to start.
Don't be surprised if you have an army of librarians at your door tomorrow talking about they're going to help you out. Let us know what you need.
Well, we'll write that book then. We write it.
Don't be surprised.
Then we're writing it. I'm telling you.
How do you think, here's another question from the audience. How do you think social media can help children and teens in the public school system learn how to read and develop other important skills? I mean, you just did it, but how do you think we can promote reading and writing for school-age students?
Oh, this is the easiest way and the hardest way. You need to become the person that you're looking for people like me or anybody else to become. You need to put yourself out there. You need to be ready. If you're a teacher, if you're a mom, it's time for you to get back to being that young child again. You need to start doing it. You need to make a TikTok and talk about the greatest things in the world. You need to be like, what's your gift? You know how to sew, you know how to plant. Start going out there and putting up your messages, doing everything, and let your kids and everybody look at you weird, and your neighbors and everybody say they're a weirdo. And you'll be like, no, I'm connecting to these babies because these babies is online and I need to figure out how I get to them. You know how you get to them? Get in their world. I got in their world and I started pushing something that's not even cool. And I'm like, this about to be cool because I'm cool and they gonna love it. And that's it. And I'm not scared to embarrass myself. I'm not scared to put myself out there because guess what? That's what they looking for. Somebody they can be like, oh, then he's like me. Like, yeah, I'm like you. Yeah, come on over here. Come on over here with the non-reading fruit. Like, what's up? What's your name? Like, they need more of us though. They need other gifts. Right. What's your thing? You know, art? But you're like, I don't want to put my art out. People might laugh. Then put out your funny laughing art because there's a million kids who can do funny laughing art too. And they just don't have nobody to run to because no one's brave enough to jump out there and put their funny art out. And they want a role model. They're looking for a role model. So who do they turn to? The people you don't want them to. Because they the ones putting themselves out. The ones who you don't want. The ones you like, we don't want them following them. But guess what? Everywhere you go, they all online. Where you won't put yourself. Where you won't go into. That's what I'm saying. You got to be there so they can tune into your stuff. Eventually, they're going to join you. You're going to be the weirdo. You're going to be judged. They're going to, people, your neighbors not going to like you. Your friends might not even start liking you. Your own family, husbands may not even like you. But it ain't about them. It's not. That's when you start to realize you know who it's about now. This is about changing something, making a cause. I'm in front of these babies. I'm in these babies' faces. Weird and all. Now they looking at me talking about, man, I'm about to go read a book online real quick. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, do that. Go do that.
Well, I tell you what, I have a t-shirt that says weird is another word for awesome. So we like the weird. We accept and we bring in people who are considered weird. Here's another question for you. It says you have a background in fitness. By the way, everything you were saying, I was like, I need to take what Oliver is saying. I need to get my fitness right. I'm going to do it every day, like you said. So you have a background in fitness. How would you describe the similarities between fitness and learning how to read? Are there some similarities?
Ooh, those are, you know what? I live my life by these. So a lot of the things that I've learned, I came through fitness. You have to realize when my brain got the connection, it locked together, right? I know fitness. I'm going to give you a little quick on this one. When I learned fitness, I learned from everything remember, I had to watch. So I never filled out my fitness things. I had friends do that, or a girlfriend. They filled out all my things. I never took a test. I never did that. So, I lied on it, but I tried to explain something to y'all. I couldn't lie the results. So I knew that. I was like, okay, I got to get results. So I practiced what people did by seeing them. I'm good at that. So I know how to do push-ups, running. I'm like, okay, if I run, I did this. If I ate this, I did that. I just watched. I just did all the same things, you would do if you needed to do it with a trainer. They're going to demonstrate, you're going to learn, they're going to practice. And that's how I did it. Reading is the exact same way. So when I realized, I'm like, hold on. So reading a book or a page is like one push-up. Reading 2 pages is like 2 push-ups. Reading 3 pages is like 4 push-ups. So I'm like, okay, so what happens if you could do 100 push-ups? You're a pretty strong dude. So what happens if you can read 100 pages? You're a pretty smart dude. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, fitness is just like, I'm like, oh my goodness. So the more pages I can read, the more I read, the more stronger I'm gonna get. My muscles are gonna grow in my head. And it was like that. It was like my body grows. I've seen it do it from push-ups and pull-ups and jumping jacks. So what happens if I read, oh my gosh, so different books, different types of things, different learning. I'm like, listen, you about to make the smartest brain because you about to be the strongest muscle in the world. Like now I realize I'm like, it's just like a muscle. It's the same thing as push-ups.
It's just like a muscle.
It's like push-ups. That's it.
I love it. You got it. Here's, I'm going to end on this question because I don't want to keep you because I want you to get back to your reading. I just lost it. Here it is. So thank you for having Oliver. He's such an inspiration. The question is, Oliver, what book do you want to read at the end of this year? Do you have a goal?
I don't have a goal, but I would, to just not even to put, but I would love to read, like, I have my phone sitting right now on like a case and it's the Harry Potter case, right? Like, I would love to be at a level so I can say, so you can see not what book, but this intimidates me. That's why I use it right now to hold my phone up, because I have all the books here and they're all here, looking real bookish. And I'm like, man, this feels like a lot. Like, it's like, how would I ever be able to, but I would love to be able to, at the end of the year, look at that and feel like it's small, feel like, man, I'm going to go ahead and just read the Harry Potter series for this week. Like, well, I'm like, because I could do it. I don't know if I could do that. That's why it's intimidating. So something like that, like the Harry Potter series, or like a long series of books where there's like 18 books and you're like, this is a long series. I'm like, yeah, I want to be in there like, oh, I finally made it to the place where I'm ready to sit down for a week and just binge into some books. Like, I can't do that yet. Yeah. And that's my goal. That's my real goal.
Again, I would be remiss, but there are lots of series at a younger age and at the younger level that you could start with if you want. I would also, advise you to speak to your local librarian. He or she can certainly guide you in a place, where you can start building on that series that you want to start with. Maybe you'll end up at Harry Potter, but today maybe you start at a different book in a different series.
Yeah.
Oliver, you have been such a treat, such a joy to be able to be engaged in a conversation with you. Do you want to leave this audience with anything before we let you go and have dinner?
Yeah. I always kind of leave the same kind of quote to everybody, but this one's big for for the Black and brown community. I just want you to know. I've heard this quote many times, and I heard it from somebody say it, but if you want to hide something from the Black and brown community, put it in a book. So I want you to know how powerful that is, because if you get it, then you would understand. You're like, yeah, there's a reason why you don't know how to read that good, because something's been hidden from you. It's been on purpose. But if you go ahead and get that book, the problem to all of those, the answer to all those problems, your financial problems, your relationship, living in wherever you live, whatever you got going on, might be in one of those books in that free library in your town. That secret little place that looks so beautiful, because every library area looks so beautiful. We just don't know how to approach it, But when you finally go in there, you're gonna realize that's the biggest bank in the world.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, here's what I speak for every single library in this country. Come on in. The water's just fine.
Yeah.
Oliver, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. I believe that we will have this recorded on, I believe it's our YouTube channel, so that if you missed him and if you know someone who needs to hear Oliver, there are a lot of people who need to hear this young man, we'll have it available to you so that you can just listen to him, be inspired by him, and get excited about reading and learning like Mr. Oliver James. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Too.